An Alabama man disappeared in 2020 and his body was never found. Yet prosecutors were still able to move forward with murder charges, and later on, they added even more. How? Let's break it down. Hey guys, welcome to Crimealytics. I'm Melissa. If you are new here, please be sure to click that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any new true crime case analysis or updates. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm so glad you're all here. So today we're going to talk about Jeffery Glenn Wilhite. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that for whatever reason, they are staying very tight-lipped about the facts of this case and any evidence that they have and things like that until we actually get to the court phase. So I'm going to give you the information that I have based on what's public-facing, but we're going to have to wait for the rest of it. So he was 59 years old when he disappeared from the West Point community of Cullman County, Alabama, after he left for work on April the 2nd of 2020. Now, it immediately concerned the family because it was uncharacteristic of him to not come home after work for dinner, and that's what happened on April the 2nd. He never returned home, and they immediately knew that something was wrong. And the next day, on April the 3rd of 2020, a missing persons report was filed. His truck was later found near West Point, parked between two chicken houses, and the truck was unlocked. His keys were missing, but his cell phone, his firearm, his knife, and his tools were still inside the truck. And the family also found his tools where he was working, and the way they were laying, they said it appeared that he just dropped them and walked away. During the initial investigation, search efforts stretched from where they found his truck all the way to his lake house, which was about 40 miles away, but these searches didn't really yield anything significant. But his family did say that the lake house door was unlocked, and that was unusual for him, but nothing inside appeared disturbed, out of place, and when they checked his bank accounts, there was no money or anything missing from his accounts. So it's like once he disappeared, all of the transactions as far as his banks and all went completely stopped. And even though they've extensively searched this 40-mile area, they have not been able to locate Jeffery's body. So the case goes cold, right? Well, I'm not so sure about that, because at this point, the public-facing details are extremely thin. But when I watch the videos that are out there where the sheriff's office is doing a press release, there are things that are said that are not outright, but they lead you to believe that they're holding some things back until they actually get to trial. But what we do know is more than 3 years later, on October the 30th of 2023, 67-year-old Randall Hogan, who was Jeffrey's employer, was indicted by a grand jury for his murder. So we've got someone indicted by a grand jury, even though they weren't able to find a body. And that is extremely difficult, a no-body murder charge. But I still think there's things that they are not telling us that led them to be able to get this. I did find something I believe is going to give us a little bit of insight into what is happening here, but we're going to have to fast forward to March the 4th of 2021 for just a minute. This is when Captain Philip Harris of the Cullman County Sheriff's Office, who is the same investigator working Jeffery Wilhite's case, filed a complaint against Randall Hogan. And that complaint stemmed from an April the 2nd of 2020 incident. Now, if you remember, that is when Jeffery Wilhite went missing. But it's also the date that prosecutors now allege Jeffery was killed. And Hogan was accused of discharging a firearm into an unoccupied 1997 Ford Ranger and brandishing a firearm at Jeffery Dye. And it scared Mr. Dye so bad that he was in literal fear for his life. So, on the same day that Jeffery Wilhite goes missing, and prosecutors now allege and believe that he was killed on that same day, we have Randall Hogan going around shooting up cars, scaring people half to death, and apparently just going crazy that day. Now, is that a coincidence? I guess it could be, but it also could be an indication that something else happened that day with someone else. But what are your thoughts on that? Randall Hogan was granted bond after his indictment for the murder of Jeffery Glenn Wilhite. And in May of 2025, he was arrested again for violating the terms of his pretrial release. Now, these are more details I could not find. What did he do to violate that? We don't know, but prosecutors moved to revoke his bond. A judge agreed, and he was sent to jail. Randall Hogan was scheduled to go to trial in November of 2025 for the murder of Jeffery Wilhite. But before that trial started, the original murder case was dismissed without prejudice, and that just means that the prosecution is free to bring charges again at any time during the future. And the reason the prosecution gave is newly discovered evidence. Now, I've looked everywhere, court documents, other news coverage, the sheriff's office, and they are not saying what this newly discovered evidence is. So this is something else we're going to have to wait till the trial phase. By the time prosecutors are ready to refile the charges, Hogan is already in custody. Because if you remember, he had his bond revoked for whatever violations he committed when he was out on bond for Jeffery Wilhite's murder. And in March of 2026, he pleaded guilty to menacing and reckless endangerment in that separate vehicle shooting case regarding Jeffrey Dye. Then on April the 13th of 2026, Randall Hogan, who is now 70, was indicted again in Jeffery Wilhite's murder case. But this time, it's not just murder. It is murder, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with physical evidence. So this is where I'm ready for this to go to trial, because what newly discovered evidence do you have that is not being made public that led to these other charges, especially when we do not have a body? I can speculate, but I'm not going to. I would rather wait for it to go to trial. But that is, to be able to indict someone for murder without a body is hard. But abuse of a corpse and tampering with physical evidence without a body, I really want to see what led to that. Randall Hogan is currently being held without bond under Aniah's law, which allows Alabama judges to deny bond in certain serious felony cases. There are no trial dates set as of today, but this is something that I will be following very closely and bring you more updates as they become available. As with any criminal case, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Follow along for more true crime case analysis and updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.